Today we will learn 8 English communication sentences at the airport.
Bắt đầu làm thủ tục kiểm tra, nhân viên hải quan sẽ hỏi bạn câu như sau. May I see your passport? Vui lòng cho xem hộ chiếu của bạn. Cách trả lời câu hỏi này vô cùng đơn giản. Khi đưa hộ chiếu ra, bạn sẽ nói Here it is. Hộ chiếu của tôi đây. Here it is. Câu hỏi số 2. Số hiệu chuyến bay. What flight did you arrive on? Bạn bay trên chuyến bay nào? Cách trả lời. Bạn sẽ cung cấp số hiệu chuyến bay ghi trên vé máy bay. Ví dụ It was VN360. Câu hỏi số 3. How long are you going to be here? Bạn sẽ ở đây bao lâu? Trong câu trả lời, bạn sẽ nêu thời gian lưu trú tại quốc gia sở tại. Ví dụ I am going to be here for 2 weeks. Tôi sẽ ở đây trong 2 tuần. Mẫu câu số 4. Where will you be staying? Bạn sẽ ở đâu? Trong câu trả lời, bạn sẽ nêu nơi lưu trú. Ví dụ I will be staying at Boss Hotel. Tôi sẽ ở khách sạn Boss. Mẫu câu số 5. What's the purpose of your visit? Mục đích chuyến đi của bạn là gì? Một số ví dụ trả lời. I'm going on business. I'm going on business. Tôi đi công tác. I'm going on a tour. I'm going on a tour. Tôi đi du lịch. Hoặc to see relatives. To see relatives. Tôi đi thăm họ hàng. Mẫu câu số 6. Is anyone going with you? Có ai khác đi cùng bạn không? Trường hợp bạn đi một mình, bạn sẽ nói No, I'm alone. No, I'm alone. Ví dụ đi cùng với 3 người khác, bạn sẽ nói I'm going with 3 others. I'm going with 3 others. Mẫu câu số 7. How much money did you bring with you? Bạn mang theo bao nhiêu tiền mặt bên mình? Ví dụ bạn mang 1.000, bạn sẽ nói 1,000 US dollars. Tôi mang 1.000 đô la Mỹ. Mẫu câu cuối cùng, mẫu câu số 8. Which one is your bag? Cái nào là túi xách của bạn? Cách trả lời vô cùng đơn giản. This one. Cái này.
English speaking practice. Đây là kết quả luyện đọc trên app Elsa. Và tiếp theo là kết quả luyện đọc trên Google Dịch. May I see your passport, please? Here it is. What flight did you arrive on? It were VN360. How long are you going to be here? I'm going to be here for 2 weeks. What's the purpose of your visit? I'm going on business. I'm going on the tour. I'm going on a tour to see relatives. Is anyone going with you? No, I am alone. I am going with 3 others. I am going with 3 others. How much money did you bring with you? How much money did you bring with you? How much money did you bring with you? 1,000 US dollar. 1,000 US dollars. 1,000 US dollars. Which one is your bag? This one.
My name is Matthew Barton. I am the curator of recorded sound at the Library of Congress. It's a wonderful job. May I see your passport, please?
Hey man, you think he's going to make it?
I don't know, man. He looks pretty sick to me.
Here are the reasons. There are 5 reasons.
And here it is. So, what is it? Well, it's a drawing of a banknote. It's based on this. This is a Bank of England.
This week, here it is fading into the near infrared, and
here it is next to a real seed the ants also brought into the...
That's debatable. So here it is, level 3 3/4 maybe. This is what I...
And here it is, the Galaxy Fold. Samsung actually managed...
And here it is. Countdown.
Here it is again, under the Virgin's mantle. In other words, a systematic underpainting of the whole work with less...
Rolled out. But here it is. It never gets old.
I think they are.
But the entire interview is interesting, so here it is. I started on an area where we agree.
Neutralize or flight and run away to survive.
You aren't allowing yourself to dive in, to gain momentum, to take flight, because you're...
Hey, airport, about to get on a flight. When I was approached by 2 women who I do not think would be insulted to hear themselves described...
years describing the flight of tennis balls at Cambridge College. But, you know, he's got a...
Down, it's true. Most of us are living in a fight-or-flight state, which...
Below, complaints and concerns from residents in the Concorde's flight path restrict...
My dad gets off a flight from Australia with one thing in mind.
Speeds. This is because a bat's flight isn't just guided by its eyes, but rather...
Gagarin piloted a 2,400 kilogram spacecraft in humanity's first manned space flight. 1 week later, Bell Aerosystems debuted.
Today's pre-flight test fails dramatically. Reduction, which...
So they arrive on campus. When the first astronauts arrive on Mars, they will need a place to stay.
The item didn't arrive on time.
I missed the game. It means I didn't arrive on time to see the game.
Those people, and it's widely expected that they will arrive on holiday visas.
Experiment. You find that photons arrive on the roof slightly...
Many of the students that arrive on college campuses around the country come from an environment...
Today, students arrive on campus with a device that
we arrive on.
The Fifth Corps troops do not arrive on Stony Hill until...
of who God is in human form. But this time...
Translators arrive on the scene to define
See, and also diverting people who did arrive in Christmas Island.
We will arrive on your planet in 50 years.
How long are you going to be here? I'll be here till Friday or Saturday.
He says, how long are you going to be serving here? And he never understood the question.
What do you know about here? How long are you really going to be here?
Permission to enter Australian territorial waters off Christmas Island.
Shot to shot. If you're shooting an exterior like I am here on the balcony, you're going to be a bit more prone to error.
We're here to talk about today, and that you've got to be thinking about too, is if I'm going to go from the 10,000 to the 100,000, if I'm going to actually increase...
but still not, this is only up 1% to 1755.
My name is Candice. I am a student ambassador here at Southern Cross University.
But during summer, it might only take a week or so for them to...
Come on, we've been toing and froing on this all week. Let's...
Last week we discussed life within limits in the...
This week, we continue with the theme of indigeneity and travel up north. Welcome to the third week of World 101X, the anthropology of current.
Thanks for watching, and I will see you again next week. It can be because the purpose of the discussion is... Don't worry if it has a few crumbs in it, that's the purpose of this layer, is to catch.
What was the purpose of my human?
And put this together, but you could ignore it for the purpose of this analysis. And then
Into the purpose that you have for us.
Some degree of likeness might be thought essential for the purpose of a...
without needing a warrant, as long as it's for the purpose of enforcing a criminal law or a law that imposes a pecuniary penalty, or as
was commenced by the government at the time. The purpose was to bring to Australia a safety culture. Is having an emotional connection to the purpose of why you're doing CI.
That it is transparent and the purpose is clear for which that system is.
The purpose of the School of Thought is to help us question all schools of thought. What it is a not-for-profit online school.
It can be because the...
We had a chance to visit many of the Inuit communities in Greenland that now face
the planet, and some of the islands have villages that you can stay and visit and sleep under.
So it caught on, and I got to visit dozens of other farmers inspired or
read a book and I'd say, let me go visit this person in person.
And with respect to our visit here, so far it's been extraordinarily.
My first visit to Pixar was in 2005 when they
Visit John Moulton Barn and T.A. Moulton Barn, two of the
have made it easier for researchers to visit deep corals and study them.
To learn more, you can visit the AdSense Help Center and
Visit the link below for a list of questions to help get you started. Number 4, create a singular...
So, listen, my lab is not in the ear manufacturing business, okay?
For a liquidity perspective.
Absolutely.
Liquidity is life in your business.
Is king.
Beginning to disrupt the way government does business from the inside out. But before I get there, let's start.
One of my favorite stories in business, Sam Wall.
Life, or it was a person that introduced me to a business or an idea.
Interesting. I've been in the business for 50-some years, and I've only made...
What we see there is this enormous hunger for engagement from America. They want to do more business with us. They want
to. So it is good for business.
But I work in the investment business, and we have a saying. A beautician and opened another business.
Tour bus unloads 40 new people.
I was supposed to, but I forgot to make a tour of consciousness when I was in Costa Rica. But what I...
Engineering, and I'd love to take you on a tour of St. Cross College.
College math. This series is a tour of foundational math.
Doing anything else. A Tour de France cyclist at
radio. I got into radio because after I came out of Crossroads, I did a tour of educating Rita.
Currently, 2 maybe renewables. So I recently went on a tour of South Wales with Wales and West Utilities.
And taking a tour of the stadium and browsing.
Effect relative to a vaccine. You're looking at
now moving at high velocity relative to the source when the
It's tied on how it makes us feel relative to our friends. So,
doctrines and political positions supporting the relative independence of the
depends on the angle at which the wind is moving relative to the
planet at relative speeds up to 56,000 kilometers.
Example, how would you like to see a very early relative of some of
these statistics, and then we took a look at relative poverty.
BMI is a measure of weight relative to height.
And you're remembering that you don't have to face them alone.
In many ways, that they're not fit to be abandoned to the religious alone. They're for all.
And you're trying to pick out someone by name alone.
Her mother raised her alone.
But we can do it with technology alone.
By the actions of one country alone.
Let alone a vote.
Let alone making checklists to go on.
We think education, that's where we put a lot of money. Education is...
Imagine how much money you'd have in your bank account today.
Take you to places that all the money in the world.
Immigration services could have kept pouring money into the failing program.
Really value that maybe it just became about making money. And
different people bring different things to the table, of course. And the
for democratic,
but also the process that's required to bring about peace in Syria.
To bring our enemies to justice or bring justice to our enemies. And in the Dallas mini march,
that I think can bring us progress, not just around the world.
Us to bring that very same disruption directly into government. I knew public health is to bring these two worlds together.
And bring them into this conversation of how
uncomfortable. You bring it up at a dinner party or in a
our bottle of water. We use them, we throw them out, we forget about them because we know
mixing a cupcake and you have to squeeze the bag at the top first.
The bag. Transfer the wet of the bag. Transfer the wet toilet paper into the middle of the bag. And
a full bag of cookies and a 6-pack of Coke. Now there's one more, but the bag traps a whole lot more moisture.
To make sure that the piping bag doesn't get all scrunched up is
make sure that any pet waste is collected in a bag and disposed of at the nearest
home, packed them in a bag, home, packed them in a bag.
Agent, I thought that I had left a water bottle like I often do in my bag, but
and we imagine them like they've got a big bag of cash that they can just.
You're like, oh, that's actually a trash bag, or I don't know, maybe
and then just add a shoe and a bag and a coat.